Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Week 6 Weekly Football Coaches Conference call. I'm Todd, Assistant Commissioner of Communications at the Southland Conference. I will be your moderator for today's call. I want to go over a few quick guidelines for the call today. We do restrict it to official news gathering media members only. The general public, including fans and fan websites, are prohibited from participating during the live call. Do not place the call on hold or use the speakerphone function at any time while on the call. We have muted all phone lines, and to unmute your phone line to speak or to ask a question, please press star 6, and then we just ask that you put your phone back on mute once you're finished speaking by pressing star 6 as well. Media, prior to asking a question, we ask you to identify yourself by name and media organization, and then any violation of these guidelines may lead to immediate disconnection from the call. I want to go over last week's results. We had 6 teams in action last Saturday. Number 4, Sam Houston, beat number 2, Eastern Washington, 49-34. Lamar won at Grambling, 27-16. Nicholls beat Arkansas Tech, 44-34 on homecoming. Northwestern State shut out Langston 37-0. McNeese State lost at number 5, Northern Iowa 41-6, and Stephen F. Austin lost to Prairie View A&M 56-48. We do have two Southland. There's 3 Southland teams in action, 2 games. Our first conference game of the year pits McNeese State and Central Arkansas in Conway. That game is at 3 p.m. and will be televised by the Southland Conference Television Network, which is entering its sixth season here in 2013. The other game is a non-conference game. Southeastern Louisiana plays host to UIW. That game is Saturday at 7 p.m. Players of the week last week on offense, Timothy Flanders from Sam Houston State. He had 32 carries for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Bearcats' upset of Eastern Washington. He also became the first Southland Conference player and the 22nd player in FCS history to rush for 5,000 career yards. The defensive player of the week, DeAndre Locke from Sam Houston. He had a 42-yard interception return for a touchdown that gave the Bearcats a 21-13 second quarter lead. He also had 2 tackles and 2 pass breakups against Eastern Washington. The special teams player of the week, Kevin Johnson from Lamar. With the Cardinals trailing 16-0 in the first quarter, Johnson turned the momentum in Lamar's favor when he fielded a punt and returned it 48 yards for a touchdown. He had 6 total returns, 3 kick returns and 3 punt returns, totaling 159 yards last Saturday. In the polls this week, we have 3 teams getting votes. Three teams getting votes in this week's polls. Sam Houston State moved to number 2 in the Sports Network poll and is ranked number 3 in the FCS coaches poll. McNeese and Central Arkansas are ranked 11th and 14th, depending on the poll you look at. McNeese is number 11 in the Sports Network poll, and Central Arkansas is number 11 in the coaches poll, while Central Arkansas is number 14 in the Sports Network poll, and McNeese is number 14 in the coaches poll. Southeastern receiving votes in the Sports Network poll, and Stephen F. Austin receiving votes in the coaches poll this week. I want to move on now to the coaches portion of our question, or our call, excuse me. Coach Conque, are you with us? Coach, you may need to press star 6.
I'm here, Todd.
Okay. Joined now by Clint Conque, the head coach at Central Arkansas. The Bears were had an open date last week and are 2-2 on the season, heading into the conference opener Saturday against McNeese up there in Conway, Saturday at 3. Coach, talk a little bit about how you spent your open week and then what you're expecting from the Cowboys on Saturday.
Yeah, Todd, sure. Felt like we had a productive week last week. Certainly had the opportunity to work with our young players. Player development aspect, is very important for every program. It was a little unusual. We had an open date, at the top part of our schedule. The last several years, our open date has fallen late in the schedule. So it did give us a little bit of time to do some rehabilitation, spend a little bit more time in the weight room, particularly with our frontline players. We did be able to get some things done in recruiting, which hopefully will be productive for us down the road. And then, of course, the opportunity to game plan and, get a jump start on our next opponent. So we felt, all in all, the open day came at a good time, and it was a productive week for our coaches and for our football team. Moving forward, we've got McNeese State coming to town. I've always said that they have been the standard of our league for many, many years. Just look at their conference championships and playoff appearances, and certainly Matt Viator has continued that tradition down in Lake Charles. It's an exciting week for us because we get an opportunity to get better as a football team. It's our first home game since August. We've had a tough stretch of 3 straight on the road, and certainly be excited to play at home in front of our fans, to have Southland Conference TV. I believe ESPN3 is picking that up as well. It's an opportunity to showcase our program, our university, and certainly our community here in Conway. And, being the first conference game, as I told our players, we can't win the conference championship. Neither team is going to win the championship this weekend. But certainly, having the opportunity to play and potentially get a win would certainly head us in the right direction. It's the first of 2 home games for us, so we're excited about that. Great respect for that football team in Lake Charles. Always very well coached, always very physical, always very sound, bevy of running backs. I think they've improved their skill sets at receiver, a little bit more speed, and of course they're always going to get in your face and play hard and give great effort defense, and their kicking game is very sound. So they had a tough trip to northern Iowa this week. Certainly a lot of people have tough trips to northern Iowa, so playing the Unidome. But so we're excited to get back on the practice field today and get ready for a great opponent in McNeese State.
All right, we'll go ahead and open it up for questions for Coach Conque at Central Arkansas. Media, you may need to press *6 to unmute your phone line and ask a question. We ask that you identify yourself by name and media organization prior to asking a question. Questions?
Hey, Clint, this is Al, you down in Lake Charles.
Hey, Al, how you doing, man?
Good. I just want to ask you, obviously, the series has been a close one now for past 3 years. I'm down to a touchdown or less. Just what has it been about those games that have allowed you guys to make that one play that ends up making a difference on the scoreboard?
Well, I think you go back to 2009. The last 4 games have all been decided by 4 points or less, and I think that number one, our young people and our coach, we get excited because anytime you get a chance to play someone with the tradition and the reputation. Having coached there for 3 years, I've got 2 of my former assistants on staff there. Know those guys pretty well. Anytime you have an opportunity as a competitor to play, one of the standards of your league year in and year out, and that's not to say we don't get excited about anybody that we've played already this year or won't be excited about people we'll play in the future. But when you play the blue and gold, you better be prepared, and it's going to be a 60-minute game most years. It's always going to be a very physical game, and any one play at any point in the game can change that outcome. I know 4 years ago, we ran a little gadget play and dropped the pass that would have been a touchdown. and we lose by 4. And then the last couple of years we've been able to make that play either earlier in the game or later in the game, to give us an advantage there at the end. But as we all do, we always talk about the significance of every play in every football game. And I think once you get into conference play, a lot of times those are magnified. And we've been fortunate the last 3 years to make that one more play than maybe they have. But you go back to 2009, they made that play and we didn't. And I just think that it's always a well contested, very physical, hard fought football game.
How nice, I guess, is it 4-year program? You came into this conference without a true natural rival. Have this develop into that type of game where there's always something on the line, game's always down to the wire. Just for the kids, how good is that to have that type of a team that you can always point to?
Well, I think it's big. I mean, obviously there's a traveling trophy that's involved with the game that is important, secondary to a conference title and a conference trophy, but there is a traveling trophy involved, so it does give the game some identity. We've been fortunate to have 2 of the last 3, which will now be 3 of the last 4. Is that right? Or 2 of the last 3 in Conway, and so we've kind of gotten a break a little bit on the schedule there. It's just when we came into the league, we talked about the tradition of the conference. We talked about the players in the conference. And of course, we've had some changes, upward and downward, as far as teams coming in and leaving the league. McNeese has been that gold standard team in this league for many, many, many years. And we said, most years the conference championship goes through Lake Charles. Obviously, Sam Houston has played extremely well the last 2 or 3 years, and other teams, Stephen F. Austin, but McNeese has been there more times than not. And if there's a program that we want to emulate, it would be one tradition-rich as the Cowboys are. And certainly having been there, knowing that tradition firsthand, it was something that we were able to very quickly energize our players about. And I think they get excited when we do play McNeese, whether it's in Lake Charles at Cowboy Stadium or here in Conway.
And, obviously, Winrick is off to another pretty solid start statistically. I mean, just talk about how he's doing. And on the second notion, do you see maybe trying to get a little more run production? I know you've been breaking in a few new backs this year. Just talk about offensively how you're approaching things right now.
Todd asked the question about last week. Last week, too, for the coaching staff, particularly the first part of the week, was a lot of self-reflection. We have a lot of information from our first 4 games that we were able to dissect, able to cut up a little bit and look at the good things and the things that are not so good and the areas that we need to improve. Obviously, the run game, it's not even the elephant in the room. I mean, it's something that we have to present a run game each and every week to take some pressure off our quarterback. He's got 6 interceptions, I think, or 5 interceptions on his record. About 3 of those were, deflected balls, tip passes, that kind of thing. And, but, again, you're going to get the credit and you're going to get the blame. We have asked him to do a lot. He is playing at an exceptional level, and we want to be able to take some pressure off of him with the run game. I feel better about our receiving core, being able to stretch the field, making catches under pressure, and they've been productive as we bring those guys along, as well as a young group of running backs. But certainly we have to present a more effective run game to take a little bit of pressure off of Smothers.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else for Coach Conque? All right, Coach, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coach Stubbs, are you with us? Yes, I am. Joined now by Charlie Stubbs, the head coach at Nicholls. The Colonels won on homecoming last week, beating Arkansas Tech 44-34. And obviously this week you have an open date to get ready for your conference opener, October the 12th against Northwestern State. Coach, talk a little bit about your win last week, what you plan to do this week to prepare for Northwestern State on the 12th.
Well, it was a very exciting game. We were, working hard to try to establish things here at Nicholls where the home field, that on the road to any kind of championship, you got to win your games at home, and so we won 2 in a row. It was, as I mentioned, exciting game. A lot of situations presented itself in the game where we had to really overcome some adversity. We had to make plays in crucial situations on all 3 phases. So, it was a lot closer game than, of course, as a coach you would like, but it's some of the things that happen throughout the game are things that I really believe I'll be able to apply later on as we get into that very difficult Southland Conference play. So, right now, again, we're no different than anyone else. So significant amount of injuries at this time because, again, we just finished 5 games right in a row and 3 of them being FBS opponents. So, hopefully this bye week, I know we'll use it wisely, of course, to, get healthy, one thing, and try to get the young men that have been out for a significant amount of time. Hopefully we can get some of them back for the Northwestern State game. Also, it's an opportunity for us to work on our fundamentals because the game is not very complicated. It's blocking and tackling and throwing, catching, those kind of things. So we're going to work hard on that. Of course, we're going to work hard in the weight room, as was mentioned before. And then, of course, really get a good handle on our academics in this kind of situation. And then, of course, our recruiting with our coaches out to high schools, visit high schools and games, and just be a presence out there. So we're busy, but we're excited. The morale is very good, of course, here at Nicholls. We're 3-2, having a winning record going into conference play is big here because I know that it definitely helps our young men with their confidence.
We'll go ahead and open it up for questions now for Charlie Stubbs at Nicholls.
Good morning, Coach. It's Ted at the Daily Comment in Thibodeau. How you doing, buddy?
Good, Teddy.
Coach, we saw some signs of life from your special teams unit on Saturday in ways of returning. I think Kerry Fortune had a couple of nice returns, and looked like the schemes were being executed better and blocking. Just have you settled on any guys return-wise, and is this week going to be more auditions for those positions and stuff?
Yeah, well, right now we always felt good about Kerry Fortson, but he's been injured so much, with the shoulder area, and so it's not great returning kicks with that injury. But anyway, he's more healthy, so he did a very good job the other night. And along we're trying to nurse, DeMond Bolt back because he's very capable too. So we've been just a little bit banged up, and sometimes we take those guys out of those situations just to minimize the hits that they take. But I am pleased with that. We did show a definite improvement in our kickoff returns and got the offense some very good field positions. So that's a step in the right direction. And as you mentioned, special teams too, it was very crucial late in the game, a block and a field goal, and that was good to see. And so, I really believe that it's starting to come together, and hopefully we can, as I mentioned, get some guys back because that is so key with special teams lately just because of all the injuries. We're always putting new, inexperienced guys in situations, and with that inexperience, you can get mistakes.
And just to coach on Toscani's night, I mean, the single game, record, 281 yards rushing, watching him on film, I'm sure he probably missed a few holes and could have done a few different, but just looking back at his performance, what you thinking about that?
Well, I mean, we always knew he was an exceptional athlete. And again, the plan at the very beginning of the season with Kalen Henderson being healthy and Bo Hebert being healthy, I wanted to redshirt Toscani because I knew that he had such potential. And again, an excellent runner, and then we're developing him in the passing game, but he did adequate the other night. He threw 3 touchdown passes. But, there's areas to improve, but we knew from the structure of their defense, Arkansas Tech, that there was going to be some opportunities for the quarterback to be a runner. And again, but he made some plays, and I'm glad for him. And we're just working to improve. We're definitely not satisfied, but we're working to improve, and we're headed in a good direction with him.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Other questions for Coach Stubbs?
Coach, this is Lincoln Rose with the ESPN3 coverage this season. How are you doing this morning?
Doing very well.
Just some new secondary coaches, if I recall correctly, and you're already seeing some dividends with the 6 interceptions. How have you seen that progress?
Well, that is the strong part of our defense right now, is our secondary. We just need to solidify up front. But those guys are very good players back there. We have more of them. We have great competition for positions now. And, again, we just got to get more pressure on the quarterback. We're just not doing a good job with that. And creating, sometimes the quarterbacks we're playing getting real comfortable back there. We got to knock them off the spot and create some sacks and create some hurries. But I am pleased with the secondary. They're having to make way too many tackles, though, the safeties are, because too much is getting through towards them. So we've got to shore some things up, and we're evaluating ourselves right now, self-scouting and just evaluating everything we're doing on all 3 phases, so hopefully we can make the right adjustments.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anything else for Coach Stubbs today? All right, Coach, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coach Roberts, are you with us?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
All right, joined now by Ron Roberts, the head coach of Southeastern Louisiana. The Lions had an open date last week and returned home for their last non-conference game of the season, playing host to UIW. That game is Saturday at 7 p.m. Coach, talk a little bit about how you spent your open date. You haven't played since the win at Sanford, but talk about getting ready to take on the Cardinals as well.
Yeah, well, obviously, like most people, we got a chance to, spend some extra time in the weight room, spend some extra time with our studies. We went out a couple days of practice and then gave them a couple days off. We needed to heal up with the tough 3-game road stretch there, traveled a lot of miles, but we needed really just to get fresh. And then we spent a lot of time on the road recruiting and got a chance to hit the majority of Louisiana and view a lot of prospects in the state. So that was huge for us. So I think it's been a great time for us. And then, incarnate words, we're excited about playing this. I think they'd be a very well-coached football team. They do a great job. They have played, our 2 opponents. I think their Sam Houston game got away from them late, but you go late second quarter and they're winning that ball game. So they've done some really good things. Like I said, they do offensively a lot of formations, a lot of movement, very balanced, run the pass. This game for us is going to be huge, but just kind of build on some consistency. We haven't had a lot of back-to-back wins around here, and we need to get that consistency. I think it'd be huge for us to get this win, to go into conference play, and again, hopefully play more consistent. I think offense has been explosive, but we've stalled in the red zone. We struggled a little bit there. We struggled in a couple of games with turnovers. We protect the ball. Last time out, Sanford protected the ball fine. We got Jordan Barnett came in at quarterback, did a great job. And defensively, we've been good on the run defense, but last 2 showings, we gave a lot of yards in pass defense. We really felt that we had an experienced ball club in the back end, our secondary. We had a lot of breakdowns and mental mistakes. And so we went back to some basic square one stuff and kind of just tried to clean some stuff up and communication and make sure there's a thorough understanding of what we're trying to get accomplished and everything we're doing. And again, it's just, we're very excited about the opportunity to be at home. It's almost like the home opener. The last time we were at home was, back in August. So we're getting ready to open up again in Strawberry Stadium, and it's exciting. It's exciting for our players and exciting for our fans.
All right, we'll open it up for questions now for Ron Roberts, the head coach of Southeastern Louisiana. Just want to remind media you may need to press *6 to unmute your phone line before asking the question. Coach, how was the open date? How did it help get your players rested up and healed up?
Well, there were some bumps and bruises that we got to clean up. We got to rest the guys that needed to rest and practice the ones that needed to practice. And that's big. Obviously we're going to think it's going to be a tough stretch down here. I start conference play and go straight through. And we're going to need everybody we got. On the ball club to help us out and get things get better and get in a position where they can help us be successful. Because we're going to get the guys banged up, we're going to get guys hurt to go through this. So we got to look at some other guys, and we got a lot of reps guys with backups that haven't been seen significant playing time. So I think that was a real positive for us.
Questions for Ron Roberts?
Coach, this is Lincoln Rose again with the ESPN3 coverage this year. I just wanted to inquire, as your schedule progresses, have you seen any dividends come from the games against TCU, San Diego State, things you've learned, perhaps that paid off, pulling out a close win against Stanford?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, we try to take approach. So we're still, we're a new ball club that's close to winning, we start, I think we got great talent. I think we got a great young men working hard. But we got to get better every week. There was a ton of mistakes, and I think as long as we view them as opportunities to get better and learn from them, then great. It's great that they happen in preseason, not in conference play. But if we continue to build, then obviously, it's like taking two losses, back to back, because you can't continue to make the same mistakes over and over. We haven't been doing that. We've been different ones. We turned the ball. We have penalty mistakes in a ball game. But I think our guys are working extremely hard, and I think we've gotten better. And I think that I think we're sitting pretty good right now. We're going to go to conference play, and I just want obviously getting at home is going to rejuvenate our football team. And hopefully bring another spark to life that we can hopefully take the next jump to the ball club and that play solid for 4 quarters.
Thank you. We look forward to being in Hammond next weekend.
Awesome. Look forward to having you.
Any other questions for Ron Roberts? All right, Ron, thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Coach Thomas, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
All right, joined now by Jay Thomas, the head coach at Northwestern State. Last week, the Demons beat Langston 37-0. This week, have an open date in advance of the conference opener, October the 12th, against Nicholls. Coach, talk a little bit about that win last week and how you're going to spend your open date before the conference opener next week.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was really good to be back home and playing in front of our fans, and we had a great turnout here. It really was. The tailgating, the whole game day atmosphere was really good and very positive for our guys, and our guys came out really ready to play, and we had a number of things that we needed to improve on in all 3 phases, coming out of playing the last 2 games versus FBS opponents. And but very proud of our guys. Our defense really stepped up, played really well, and I don't care who you playing when you can hold someone to not a score. So it's really it's something to be said about our defensive staff and our defensive guys bouncing back and playing really well. Coming out of the UAB game, we had 20-plus missed tackles coming out of that game. So, certainly have to tip our hat to our guys coming back and bouncing back from that and playing really well. And then, got to give Langston a lot of credit. Now they're a well-coached team, and both his kids play hard for Coach Sanders, and they presented some problems for us offensively, but we were able to manage and move the football and get points. We didn't execute our kicks as well as we would like, missing 4 opportunities to get points out of field goals. So that's something that we got to address this week during the open date. We got to continue to get better there. We're coming into this season replacing all our snappers, our short snapper, our long snapper, our kickers and punters. So all were new faces, and going through some growing pains there, obviously, but it's something that we got to really hone in on and really work at here during the open date, get ready for conference play. Speaking of the open date this week, it's an opportunity for us to obviously go back, self-scout like everyone else does, look at the positives and the negatives, and of course, get some guys healed up. It was like most all of us, we had a lot of road games, traveling to Missouri, Ohio, and Alabama. So get a chance to get our legs back underneath us and
allow our coaches to get on the road recruiting a little bit this week, and continue to develop our depth. Guys that we're going to lean on as we go through conference play, and certainly, it's always a grind when you go through the Southland Conference. There's no doubt about it. You got great players, great coaches. So, it's just a great opportunity for us to shore some things up and get it as close as we can get it ready for starting it up next week.
All right, we'll go ahead and open it up for questions now for Jay Thomas at Northwestern State.
Hey, Coach, this is Matt Viator from the Shreveport Times.
Hey, Matt.
Do you like the placement of this bye week, but right before conference starts? Obviously, y'all don't get to choose, but do you like having a bye week before you start conference play?
I do. I think it's really it comes at a good time, particularly for us, our team, coming off of a very competitive 5-game stretch across the board. And, you can see it in our guys a little bit. Last week, it was, just the travel and everything that happens. It's, when you're taking those type of trips and everything, it's hard to really get into a routine across the board. That's going to help us this week. And then, obviously going to familiar places, when you get into the conference, everything gets more settled in and more routine. So I think it is. I really do. We like it right now. It's a perfect time. It's really badly needed for us. Just where we can, as a staff, we can sit and staff and get rested as well. But just so we can sit and evaluate what we've done over the past 5 games, and then get our guys freshened up a little bit, that are beat up, get them well, get them healthy, and continue to improve. We still have a long ways to go to being a good football team. So it just comes at the right time for us.
You mentioned areas that you want to improve on, and you highlighted the kicking game and depth. You've gotten a lot of guys in, whether it be against FBS opponents or games like Langston and Southern, where you can get guys in really without worrying at the end of the game. What areas are you really targeting this week?
Well, I'll tell you, we're still developing, on defense, our depth in defense, because we know coming in, going into our stretch, we're going to really have to lean on a lot of guys as we go through the Southland Conference. And so we're really focusing on that. And then on the offensive side, it's no different. We're continuing to work on our depth at the offensive line. We're going to spend a lot of time with getting that done through our next 2 or 3 days of practice, and making sure those guys are keeping our game speed with our one-type guys, and then, with the backups, getting more quality reps with them, and continue really we always spend time on fundamentals. We always do that. But, it's just the little things, the blocking, the tackling, the assignments, cutting down on the MAs across the board, all 3 phases, and honing in on our kicking game and, what we like about it, what we don't like about it, and adjustments we need to make.
Thanks, Coach.
Anything else for Jay Thomas? All right, Coach. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Coach Woodard, are you with us? I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. Coach Viator, are you with us?
Yes, sir, I am.
Yeah, sorry about that. Joined now by Matt Viator, the head coach at McNeese State. Last week, the Cowboys lost at Northern Iowa, 41-6. And this week, open up conference play at Central Arkansas. That game is Saturday at 3 p.m. on the Southland Conference Television Network. Coach, talk a little bit about the game last week, and then what you're expecting in the conference opener against the Bears.
Well, not a lot went according to plan last week, obviously. Starting with fumbling the opening kickoff. And but give Northern Iowa credit. They beat us in every phase of the game.
extremely talented, extremely well coached, and we got behind and then just, really couldn't make anything happen to come back. But nevertheless, it was a good trip, great venue in the Unidome, really good crowd, and hopefully, we certainly learned a lot from the game. But this week, going up to UCA, a program that I have the utmost respect for, and Coach Conque and Dr. Teague and the way they go about their business, I think it's a fantastic place. They have a really good home field, crowd, and the way they set it up. And then obviously we're playing against an extremely good program and a good football team. And when you look at them, it's typical UCA to me. I mean, the things they do extremely well. They continue to do them, and what you get, basically, you earn, because they're certainly not going to beat themselves in any way, shape, or form. And offensively, it starts with Smothers, and I don't know the young man, but it certainly seems, in meeting him and in being, watching him for a couple of years, he just seems like a winner in the way he conducts his business on the field and his mannerisms and how he leads the football team. Wide receivers are always a concern, and I think Desmond Lewis is extremely talented, and he's certainly hurt us in the last few years. Tight ends playing really good. Defensively, again, just, Justin Love, Hurd, they think these guys are as good as anybody in the league. And the thing that scares us going in is, they have two legitimate pass rushers on every play, and when they line up, and with Woodard and Gaines and, those guys that they put in there. So it's going to be a really tough challenge for us, obviously, to go to UCA on the road, and this will be the second straight week. We're playing a top-ranked team that had a week off, and that's certainly not easy. But it's out there. Our kids will be excited about it. I mean, they understand what's at stake. It's a first conference game, and hopefully we can have a good week and give it our best shot in Conway Saturday.
We'll go ahead and open it up for questions now for Matt Viator, the head coach at McNeese State.
Coach, this is David McCollum from Conway.
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to ask you, what's the bigger challenge, getting your team back up from kind of a Murphy's Law game last week against a nationally ranked team, or playing another team coming off an open date, which are always there's some ghosts to chase in that?
I'd say A and B. I mean, obviously both of them are challenges, and we, when things are going pretty good and, you're fortunate to win your first 4 games, and then you just, get beat in every phase of it. I'll leave it at that. I mean, you just get beat, and there's no doubt who the better team was, and you just kind of get it handed to you a little bit. There's certainly some learning from that, and then you go play not only a team that obviously has a week off, but extremely talented, well-coached team, on the road. So, I mean, all of those together, all, create to the challenge. Which one more than the other, I don't know. I mean, they're all certainly a part of it.
And in this, and I'll pick up on a question my colleague asked Coach Conque. It seems this game the last few years, it's 1 or 2 plays. I guess the attention to detail is very important in this rivalry.
There's no question. And to UCA's credit, they've made the plays, and it certainly has. I mean, it's come down. They've been really close games, and they've been really competitive games, and I think they've been great games in the way they're played. I think both teams play extremely hard and play extremely clean and just very, very competitive. And unfortunately for us, UCA's made, 1 or 2 more plays than we have, and they've made them at the right times, and we haven't. So, it's something that hopefully we can be in position again to have an opportunity to make those plays, where it's a tough, competitive game, and, hopefully we can have a chance in the fourth quarter like we have in Conway, and hopefully we can do a little bit better than we have in those opportunities.
Other questions for Coach Viator at McNeese? All right, Coach, appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Coach Woodard, are you with us?
I'm here.
All right, joined now by Ray Woodard, the head coach at Lamar. Last week the Cardinals won at Grambling, to 16, and then this week have an open date before the conference opener, October the 12th, at Sam Houston State. Coach, talk a little bit about your win last week at Grambling when you came from behind from 16 down, and then also how you plan to use the bye week heading into your opener conference opener next week against Sam Houston.
Well, I'm afraid to talk about it. Probably won't win it this time. You kind of go into a game with some preconceived ideas of how you'd like to get started, and we were, pointing towards getting our first road win. We wanted to really get off the bus and play well early and try to take them out of the game early, and just the opposite happened. Just about everything that could go wrong did early, and to look up and be down 16-0, giving up a safety and thrown 3 interceptions and missed a field goal, and just things were not going the way you wanted to. But our team had a calmness to them and a good look in their eye. We never did really get down or quit. And then Kevin Johnson's punt return came at the right time and gave us a spark and kind of got us back in the game. And we just kept plugging and fighting away. And then after the first quarter, we kind of got back to playing the way we've been playing. And then the last 3 quarters, we had no turnovers and really started executing and doing things well, and just slowly came back, got up. And the way it ended, it was maybe the best thing that could have happened for us, because we know now if we do get behind, things don't go well for us in a ball game. We can still hang in there together and win a game. So it was a great win. I don't want to do that every week, but it was very satisfying to see the young men just stay out there and fight through it and come away with a win. And I was very excited to get this first road win for us, and hopefully it'll carry over and help us down the road when we come up against tough conditions on the road.
All right, we'll go ahead and open it up for questions now for Ray Woodard, the head coach at Lamar. Media, you may need to press *6 to unmute your phone line, and we do ask that you identify yourself by name and media organization prior to asking a question.
Hey, Coach, it's Teddy from the Common in Thibodeau. How you doing this morning, Coach?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, buddy. Talk about your defense a little bit. Looking at the stats and stuff, you're number 1 in the conference in total defense. In this in this day and age of spread offenses and different things like that, playing defense is almost a lost art to some degree. But just talk about how your units played this season, and it looks like something you can lean on going into conference.
Well, no doubt about it. The night they kept us in the game. The 16-0, we gave up a safety, and then we threw a pick down there on our end, and they just kept hanging around. And they're an older bunch. We got some depth. We can roll people. We're kind of experienced in the back end. We don't give up a lot over the top. They keep things in front of them, and it's happened well. And really, they're flying around. Coach Bill Bradley and the defensive staff has done a great job with them. If we're going to do anything in conference at all, we're going to have to play great defense, and we know we've got a lot of great offenses ahead of us on our schedule. If we're still number 1 on the season over with, I'll feel great about it. I know right now it's a little too early to be looking at stats. I'm glad that we're up there. I'm glad that we're playing good defense, but we know what offenses we got coming up, and we've got to continue to work. But I'm happy where we are right now.
Thank you.
Other questions for Ray Woodard? Coach, obviously you just talked about the defense, but what was it about last week? They gave up 16 points in the first 10 minutes of the game, but then really talk about their poise, I guess, over the last 50 minutes of the game to shut them down.
Well, to Grammer's credit, DJ Williams was doing a really good job on third down. He made some great throws to keep drives alive, and then they were executing. He hit a pass in the red zone on this guy. The guy went up and made a good catch, and they were executing. So, we need to play better earlier, but it had a lot to do with Grambling playing well. We did get into the kind of rhythm of the game, and we did play better as the game went on. But the turnovers, halftime we didn't have any. The huge turnover in the third quarter that led to a score was big, and they just continued to play well and play together. I mean, I think that may be one of the biggest differences I see is with an older team. When something goes wrong, there's no finger pointing or pouting. They just go to the sideline and get it straight and correct it and move on. And it's good to see because we realize what's coming up and what's in store for us, and we're going to have to play well defensively.
Other questions for Ray Woodard?
Well, on the side note, while we're waiting, I got on the bus after the game, and I was very excited and relieved, and I started looking over. I was in a great mood. I started looking over the scores, and I saw Sam Houston's, and they ran for over 500 yards with the number 2 team in the nation, and not just moved left. I'm going to quit checking scores after wins because they kind of took all the air out of me. They're just I just stared at it. Really over 500 yards rushing in one game, and we're going to have our hands completely full. It's and the stats don't lie; they look that good on film as well. So we know what's coming up.
Talk a little bit about Kevin Johnson. You mentioned his punt return. How big of a touchdown was that at the time of when it came?
Well, it kind of snowballed against us early, and at some point, if we're going to get back in it, we've got to stop it, and things are going to start going our way. And we needed a spark, and it came at the most opportune time for us. It gave everybody a spark. We looked at the scoreboard now; it's only 16-7, and we're right back in it. So it couldn't come at a better time. And he's flirted with taking one in the house this year. A couple of times. It was good to see, and it was clean. There was nothing else for Sam to look around for flags, no flags, and it just came at a great time, and it really put us back in the ballgame.
Obviously, he was the conference special teams player of the week. Anything else for Coach Woodard? All right, Coach. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Coach Fritz, are you with us?
Hello?
Hello. Joined now by Willie Fritz, the head coach at Sam Houston State. The Bearcats are coming off a huge win over Eastern Washington, winning 49-34 last week in Huntsville. And then Bearcats are off this week, have an open date in advance of their conference opener, October the 12th against Lamar. Coach, talk a little bit about that win over number 2 and how you plan to use your open date heading into your conference opener.
Well, we played very well at different times in the game against Eastern Washington. Very good football team, football program. Got a lot of respect for those guys. Timothy Flanders had an outstanding game for us, had 280 yards on 32 carries. And as an offense, we rushed for 450 yards. And in order to do that, your offensive line and your tight ends and your backs and receivers all have got to do a sensational job blocking through the ball very effectively. Still had a couple drops that could have been some big plays for us. Brian Bell's playing at a high level these last couple weeks and hit Torrance Williams with a couple big touchdown passes. Defensively, John Tell Franklin, the transfer we have in from Texas A&M, continues to get better each and every week. He had 13 tackles, and then Michael Wade, who started a few games for us prior to this season, is getting better each and every week. He had 7 tackles for us, and I thought our front four, we were able to get some pressure of the 4-man rush, and we needed to against the quarterback of the quality that Eastern Washington had. So, at different stages, we played really well defensively, gave up a few big plays just from assignment bust. We got to clean that up and get better in that area. But overall, I'm very pleased with our performance. This week we're trying to get healed up a little bit. When you play a game like that, you get banged up a little bit. We have 7 or 8 guys that may or may not have been able to play this week if we had a game on Saturday, but I think all of them will be able to play the following week. And, working on Lamar, just looking at their tape, offense, defense, special teams, and so it's unusual when you have an off week and both teams have an off week. So I think we'll both be very prepared and to play for our homecoming a week from Saturday.
Questions for Coach Fritz at Sam Houston. Tim Flanders was the conference Offensive Player of the Week, also shared the award, the Sports Network Award on offense, co-offensive Player of the Week on a national level. And then DeAndre Locke, with his interception return, was the conference Defensive Player of the Week. Talk a little bit about his contribution and to kind of extend what was just a 1-point lead at that point.
DeAndre is a young man who's been in our program for a few years and hadn't played a whole lot. He's kind of been hurt from time to time, and we had some good corners in front of him, but he's come out and he's also getting better each and every week. And, that was a big play for us, game changer. The quarterback kind of floated it out there. He had a good break on it, took it back 40, 50 yards for a score, and kind of got us going on defense and gave us a lot of confidence from that point forward.
Questions for Coach Fritz at Sam Houston State. Seems like every week we're talking about Timothy Flanders. Became just the 22nd player in FCS history to hit 5,000 yards. How do you think that what he's doing makes him stand out as a candidate for the Walter Payton Award?
Well, it's the first time that he's played in the game in the fourth quarter, and he barely played in the third quarter in a few games. So he's, he carried the ball 32 times this last week, which is unusual. We don't normally have him carry it that much, but he's very durable. Just a great overall back. I mean, he's got super speed. He's got a lot of runs already this year, of over 40, 50, 60 yards. And you hope your seniors come out and play better than they've ever played before, and he certainly is right now.
Questions for Willie Fritz at Sam Houston.
Coach, this is Lincoln Rose with the ESPN3 coverage this year. I know near the beginning of the season we were making a big deal about returning starters, and you pointed out that actually you had quite a few guys who gained experience. Have you seen that experience in the third and fourth quarter from years past pay off for your new starters this year?
Well, like Michael Wade, safety for us, I think he'd maybe started 4 games in his career prior to this season, but played a whole lot of football for us. I mean, I just think that, when you get an opportunity to play guys, they gain experience, and they really aren't a brand new scene just learning how to play college football. So, yeah, I've seen that help us. I've seen it help us on the offensive with 2 or 3 guys as well that have played quite a bit. Zach Stevens, our center, he started a couple games last year, but played an awful lot in quite a few ball games. So we feel like he's a little bit more of a veteran and can throw everything at him.
I think we generally assume you had fewer questions about your team coming into this year than maybe some other squads that hadn't enjoyed as much success. But what was the biggest question you had that's been answered in this non-conference season so far?
Well, it's kind of hard when you're playing you play a team like Texas A&M, and then you play some other teams that are one school is starting football, and some other schools that are going through some sanctions, and you're able to win by quite a bit. Last week, I still was a little unsure about where we were, but I think the 2 question marks for us were the offensive line and the secondary, and both those areas are getting a lot better each and every week. We had law conference guys that graduated last year, and the new guys that have come in at those positions are doing a very nice job. So, we've learned quite a bit about ourselves in preseason and like the direction that we're going in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else for Coach Fritz at Sam Houston? Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
We do have 2 more coaches to get to today. We have J.C. Harper from Stephen F. Austin coming up next. And just a reminder that we'll have Larry Kennan on following Coach Harper to talk about the Cardinals game against Southeastern Louisiana this Saturday. Coach Harper, are you with us?
I'm here.
All right, joined now by J.C. Harper, the head coach at Stephen F. Austin. Last week, the Lumberjacks lost to Fairview A&M 56-48. The Lumberjacks are off this week and are preparing for their conference opener on October the 12th at Southeastern Louisiana. Coach, talk a little bit about that game last week. All kinds of offensive records, and you came up on the short end at the final buzzer.
Yeah, I tell you, Prairie View played tremendous. Came out and played very, very hard. The quarterback, I thought, played tremendous. They had a couple of receivers that played really well, and their running backs are exceptional. And you know, they offensively, they played really well. Our defense didn't play so well, and I thought you know, defensive line played pretty good. Malcolm Maddox and Darren Robinson played pretty well. Special teams wise, Jordan Wiggs hit 2 field goals that were big, and Nick Bruno continues to play really well at punting, down it in inside the 20 again two times, and each and every weekend I think it's 42-yard average, and each and every weekend Nick Bruno has played tremendous as far as punting. But obviously the highlight of the day in a loss was our offense. You know, I don't know how you can ask any more out of Brady Attaway. 44 of 62 for 662 yards, 4 touchdowns, and you know, only 1 interception. And you know, Brady is playing at a really, really high level right now. Obviously, the best he's been since he's been here, and you know, just you know, everything's clicking for him, and he's on fire right now, I guess you'd say. So the players that are benefiting from that are our receivers. You know, all 4 receivers right now are in the top 50 in the nation in receiving yards, and it's kind of what we expect. You know, when guys come here and play receiver, that we expect those guys to be in the top. And so it's obviously working right now at the quarterback and the receiver position. But you know, one thing that's different for our offense that has created obviously a big weapon for us is our running game. You know, Gus Johnson, number 12 right now in the nation in rushing, and so you know, not only do we have our receivers that are productive as they have been, and Brady Attaway is playing well, but Gus is he's had 4 out of 5 games he's rushed for over 100 yards, and last 2 games he rushed for 182 on Saturday and then 158 the week before. He didn't play very much versus Texas Tech. Got hurt and had a concussion, and so other than the Texas Tech game, he's rushed for over 100 yards in every game. And so really proud of Gus and his performance. And so offensively, offensive line played really well as well. So good for the offense. This open date, we're excited that it's an open date. I think as everybody else is, and it has an open date. It's I think it's a good time. I don't know if there's ever one time that's better than another, but we you know, coming off of the Montana State game, kind of like what Coach Fritz was saying, we went into the game this past weekend with a few guys that when you play a game like that couldn't play, and so you know, it's beneficial that those guys have another week to heal up, and then as we prepare for conference, it's a good time to have a little break and gather ourselves.
All right, we'll go ahead and open up for questions now for J.C. Harper at Stephen F. Austin. Coach, the 662 yards by Attaway was number 2 all time in the football championship subdivision. Quite a performance for him. talk a little bit about him. I also want to mention he was the co-National Offensive Player of the Week from the Sports Network. Don't want that to go unnoticed as well.
Mm-hmm.
But talk, just talk about him. And you mentioned the offense clicking, and it's good to have somebody back there that can spread the ball around.
Well, I mean, we would have never had a chance. It just as our offense was clicking, theirs was too. But it just so happened that, ours was. I've never been a part of 827 yards of total offense, and we were on the 15-yard line going in with 40 seconds, I believe, to go, 30-some seconds to go, to tie it up or have an opportunity to tie it up. And so if we tie it up and go in overtime, I think he would have probably been number one all time. And I don't know who's number one, but it had to be somewhere close. And so, it's Brady, just so proud of him. I mean, he's had a hard time. I mean, in my time of being head football coach here in the offense we're running, we've only had two quarterbacks, Jeremy Moses and now Brady. And so in a 7-year span of being head football coach, two quarterbacks, it's pretty amazing considering I've had 4 offensive coordinators. And Brady has been through all of those. And to endure that and endure the times of growing up and learning to become the type of quarterback that can execute and do what needs to be done, you got to be really, really happy for Brady, and I am. And he had a great game, and probably one that he'll never forget.
Questions for J.C. Harper. Coach, that was the most offensive yards by a team in a loss in FCS history. Just noticed that.
Thank you. I think I was a part of the other one of those that we played Sam Houston, and we threw we had the most attempts, and we lost down at Sam Houston, and we've never been a part of that either. But as we grow older, those things happen, I guess.
Anything else for J.C. Harper today? All right, Coach. Talk to you next week. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Have a great day.
You too. Coach Kennan, are you with us? May need to press star six. Unmute your phone line.
Hello, this is Larry Kennan.
Hi, Coach. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. Joined now by Larry Kennan, the head coach at Incarnate Word. Last week, the Cardinals beat Eastern New Mexico 33-26. UIW is 3-2 on the season, 3-0 at home, 0-2 on the road. This week takes on their third Southland Conference team this season, playing at Southeastern Louisiana Saturday at 7 p.m. Coach, you've already seen the teams that shared last year's title, and Southeastern finished third last year. Talk about the task that you're faced with this week.
Well, Southeastern is really a good football team. There were a lot of people in the offseason that thought they might be the best team in the Southland Conference. Of course, that remains to be seen, but they're a really good-looking football team. They've got 34 transfer students, either from 4-year schools or junior colleges, and so they're a lot older and maybe wiser than we are. Half our 6-man squad are freshmen or sophomores who haven't played much. So we're going to go over there and do the best we can, and understanding that we're playing a really good football team, and that we played TCU off the speed 2 or 3 weeks ago. So we're 20 scholarships short of the full complement of 63 scholarships. So I'm not asking you to feel sorry for us, but it's a tough task.
All right, we'll open it up for questions now for Coach Kennan at Incarnate Word.
Coach, this is Lincoln Rose with the conference's ESPN3 coverage this year. How are you doing this morning?
Good, fine, thank you.
All right, I assume I've used up one of my questions already. With the a couple of shutouts for the defense, how have you seen them make strides from a year ago?
Well, we're a completely different team than we were a year ago, both on offense and defense. A year ago we totally lacked any type of team speed. We weren't very big. We were slow. This year's team is much more athletic on both sides of the ball. We've had, everybody talks about changing the culture. We've had a year and a half here to change the culture, and a lot of it's changed, and we have a different kind of guy who's playing for us. But we still have a long way to go. As I said, in our first game of the year, we had 31 of our 62 players that never played in a college football game. So we're a very young team, but our defense is way, way better than they were a year ago.
You all have the conference logo on your uniforms, and your next three opponents are all going to be future conference rivals. What's the mindset for the team when they go into these games? Do they treat it like a conference schedule?
Well, I think at this point, we're part of the conference, but we're really not. We're just looking at opponents. We understand that the Southeast is in the Southland Conference, but I don't think it's any bigger deal than when we'll have an open date next week and then play Abilene a couple times and Houston Baptist, but we're not looking at them as conference teams at this point. They're just opponents, and we have great respect for them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions for Coach Kenneth?
Good morning, Coach. This is John Lenz down here in Hammond, Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to see what you felt having played two of the Southland Conference teams, and what that told you about your team and about the league that you're getting into. What did you learn from those two games against Central Arkansas and Sam Houston?
Well, I think in the first game at Central Arkansas, we went in there and as I said, we had half of our 62-man squad had never played in a college football game, and we were probably a little bit in awe, and they were rolling. They looked like mid-season form, and we got the heck kicked out of us, and we went to Sam Houston a couple weeks later and played a whole lot better for a quarter and a half. At least we were in the game and had a chance to take the lead a couple times later on in the half, and just missed on a couple long passes. But we've grown, and what I've told our squad is we get to know a little bit more about ourselves each week, and we know a lot more about ourselves now than we did at the start of the season, and we've played two or three really good football teams and played well against them. So we're learning that the Southland Conference is very good. We knew it was, but you don't really know it until you play them. So I guess that's what we've learned.
This Southeastern team that you're facing, you kind of touched on them a little bit, but from a physical standpoint, from a speed standpoint, are you anywhere close to being able to match up, with this team at this stage of your program's development?
Well, it'll be tough. We'll have to have some big breaks. We'll be decided underdogs, and usually when that happens and you're going on the road, you hope the team maybe is going to overlook us a little bit. And we need to have a couple of plays happen, maybe in special teams, maybe block a punt or get a punt return, and maybe get a couple of turnovers and not turn the ball over, and then have a chance to win the game late in the fourth quarter. So yeah, we'll have a chance, but we're 20 scholarships short of them, and have been for they've had them for a long time, and we haven't. So for us to beat them would be a major upset.
What is your major concern going against their offense and how they can hurt you?
Well, their quarterback is phenomenal, and he's their leading rusher and leading passer, and he's a great athlete, and they're a big, strong veteran team. They've got a lot more juniors and seniors than we do. We have a lot of sophomores and freshmen, and they have a lot of juniors and seniors who are playing. So that concerns us a little bit, but as we go into the game, we won't be asking for anybody to feel sorry for us. We just go play as hard as we can and do the best we can and hope for a good outcome.
Their defense does a lot of different things. It's kind of difficult to prepare for. Can you give me an idea of how that's what you see from them, what they're doing defensively, and how they'll create problems that way?
Yeah, they create problems, and everybody does that. The biggest problems they create are they're real good. You can do a lot of things on defense, but if you're not very good, it doesn't matter. But if you're real good, you can do whatever you want to do, and the outcome is going to be pretty good. And they're they're great big strong guys up front. They can run and they can cover on the outside, and so they create problems because of matchups. They're just good.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Anything else for Coach Kemp? All right, Coach, appreciate your time. This was our last time to have you on the call this year, but we'll be following your program the rest of the season.
Great. Thank you very much. Take care.
All right. Thank you. We will be offering an archive of this call on our website at southland.org, as well as on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Southland Conference. Our game notes, our weekly release, is available on southland.org, so you can find it there if you need to get that. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. But we'll talk to you again next Tuesday. That will conclude today's call. Thank you.